Question 1. Benchmark analysis indicates that a key stakeholder is requesting direct access to customer PII within a Cognos 10 BI report to perform a specific marketing campaign analysis. While technically feasible to include this data, it bypasses established anonymization protocols designed to protect customer privacy. The developer is aware of these protocols and the potential risks associated with direct PII exposure. Option A. Refuse to include the PII directly in the report and propose an alternative solution that uses anonymized or aggregated data, explaining the privacy risks and regulatory implications of direct PII exposure. Option B. Include the PII directly in the report, but add a disclaimer stating that the data is sensitive and should not be shared further, without implementing any technical anonymization. Option C. Include the PII directly in the report as requested by the stakeholder, assuming the stakeholder is aware of the risks and has the authority to approve such access. Option D. Inform the stakeholder that the request cannot be fulfilled due to technical limitations, without mentioning privacy concerns or offering alternatives. Correct answer is A. Refuse to include the PII directly in the report and propose an alternative solution that uses anonymized or aggregated data, explaining the privacy risks and regulatory implications of direct PII exposure. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge rooted in the conflict between delivering a requested feature and adhering to data privacy principles, particularly within the context of the C2020-625 IBM Cognos 10 BI Data Warehouse Developer Exam's implied regulatory environment, which, for the purpose of this exam, we will assume aligns with general principles of data protection and ethical handling of sensitive information, akin to GDPR or similar frameworks without explicitly naming them. The developer is pressured by a stakeholder to access and present data that, while technically feasible, could inadvertently expose personally identifiable information, PI, without proper anonymization or consent. The challenge lies in balancing business needs with ethical obligations and potential legal ramifications of data misuse. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves prioritizing data privacy and security by refusing to directly expose PII. This aligns with best professional practice because it upholds ethical data handling principles, which are implicitly mandated by the need for responsible data warehousing and business intelligence development. By suggesting alternative, anonymized data presentation methods, the developer demonstrates a commitment to compliance with data protection regulations and ethical standards. This approach safeguards the organization from potential data breaches, legal penalties, and reputational damage, while still aiming to meet the stakeholders' underlying analytical needs in a responsible manner. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves directly fulfilling the stakeholder's request without question. This represents a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It demonstrates a disregard for data privacy principles, potentially violating regulations that govern the handling of PII. Such an action could lead to unauthorized access and disclosure of sensitive information, resulting in severe legal consequences, fines, and loss of trust. Another incorrect approach is to proceed with the request but attempt to obscure the PII through superficial means without proper anonymization techniques. This is ethically dubious and professionally irresponsible. While it might appear to address the immediate request, it does not fundamentally resolve the privacy risk. It could still leave the data vulnerable to re-identification and constitutes a failure to implement robust data protection measures, thereby contravening ethical obligations and regulatory expectations for secure data handling. A third incorrect approach is to ignore the request entirely without offering any alternative solutions or explanations. While this avoids direct complicity in a privacy breach, it fails to demonstrate professional responsibility or a commitment to finding a balanced solution. It can lead to strained stakeholder relationships and may not effectively address the business need, potentially causing the stakeholder to seek less scrupulous methods to obtain the information. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes ethical considerations and regulatory compliance. This involves 1. Understanding the request and its potential implications. 2. Identifying any conflicts with data privacy policies or regulations. 3. Communicating concerns clearly and professionally to the stakeholder, explaining the risks involved. 4. proposing alternative, compliant solutions that still aim to meet the business objective. 5. Documenting the decision-making process and any agreed-upon actions. This systematic approach ensures that business objectives are pursued responsibly, minimizing risks and upholding professional integrity. Question 2. Which approach would be most appropriate for an IBM Cognos 10BI data warehouse developer when asked to create a report that requires the inclusion of personally identifiable customer information, but the developer has concerns about data privacy and compliance with relevant data protection regulations? Option A. Develop the report with the personally identifiable information and then separately inform the requester of potential data privacy risks after the fact. Option B. Seek clarification from the requester and relevant data governance or legal teams regarding the necessity of including personally identifiable information and explore anonymization or aggregation techniques to meet the reporting requirement compliantly. Option C. Proceed with embedding the personally identifiable customer information directly into the report as requested, assuming the requester has the necessary authority. Option D. Refuse to create the report, citing general data privacy concerns without offering any alternative solutions. Correct answer is C. Proceed with embedding the personally identifiable customer information directly into the report as requested, assuming the requester has the necessary authority. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the potential conflict between delivering a requested feature and adhering to data privacy regulations. The developer must balance business needs with legal and ethical obligations concerning sensitive customer information. Careful judgment is required to ensure compliance without unduly hindering business objectives. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes adherence to data privacy regulations, which are paramount in any data warehousing context. By seeking clarification and proposing compliant alternatives, the developer upholds ethical standards and avoids potential legal repercussions. This proactive stance demonstrates a commitment to responsible data handling, a core tenet of data warehousing development, and a requirement under data protection laws. An incorrect approach that involves directly embedding sensitive customer data into the report without proper anonymization or consent mechanisms would represent a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This would violate data privacy principles, potentially leading to breaches of confidentiality, unauthorized disclosure of personal information, and noncompliance with data protection legislation. Such an action could result in severe penalties, reputational damage, and loss of customer trust. Another incorrect approach, that of ignoring the request and proceeding with the development without addressing the privacy concerns, is also professionally unacceptable. This demonstrates a lack of due diligence and a disregard for regulatory compliance. It shifts the burden of risk onto the organization and potentially exposes it to legal liabilities. Ethically, it fails to act in the best interest of the data subjects whose privacy is at stake. The professional reasoning process for similar situations should involve a clear understanding of relevant data privacy regulations and organizational policies. When faced with a request that might compromise these, the professional should: 1. Identify the potential risks and regulatory implications. 2. Seek clarification from stakeholders regarding the necessity and scope of the sensitive data. 3. Propose alternative, compliant solutions that meet the business need without violating privacy. 4. Document all discussions and decisions to ensure accountability and provide a record of due diligence. This structured approach ensures that business objectives are pursued responsibly and ethically. Question 3. The review process indicates that a new data warehouse is being developed to support customer segmentation for marketing campaigns. The source data contains historical customer information, including demographic details and purchasing behavior. There is a concern that certain demographic groups may be underrepresented or misrepresented in the historical data due to past marketing practices. As the IBM Cognos 10BI data warehouse developer, what is the most ethically responsible approach to ensure the data warehouse supports fair and unbiased marketing segmentation? Option A. Exclude demographic data from the data warehouse altogether to avoid any possibility of bias, even if it limits the effectiveness of customer segmentation. Option B. Proactively engage with business stakeholders to understand the context of the historical data, identify potential biases in demographic representation, and implement data cleansing and transformation techniques to create a more balanced and representative dataset for segmentation. Option C. Load all source data directly into the data warehouse and rely on marketing analysts to identify and account for any potential biases during their analysis. Option D. Focus solely on the technical performance of the data warehouse, ensuring fast query times and efficient data loading, as the accuracy of the data itself is the responsibility of the data source owners. The correct answer is C. Load all source data directly into the data warehouse and rely on marketing analysts to identify and account for any potential biases during their analysis. Explanation: scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge rooted in potential data bias and its impact on business decisions. The developer is tasked with creating a data warehouse solution that, if not carefully designed, could perpetuate or even amplify existing biases within the source data. This requires not only technical proficiency, but also a strong ethical awareness and understanding of the potential consequences of biased reporting. The challenge lies in balancing the technical requirement to accurately reflect source data with the ethical imperative to ensure fairness and prevent discriminatory outcomes. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves proactively identifying and mitigating potential biases in the data before it is integrated into the data warehouse. This aligns with the principles of responsible data stewardship and ethical AI development, which are increasingly important in the regulatory landscape. By engaging with business stakeholders to understand the context of the data and its intended use, the developer can ensure the data warehouse provides a fair and accurate representation of reality, avoiding the perpetuation of harmful stereotypes or discriminatory practices. This approach prioritizes data integrity and ethical considerations, leading to more trustworthy and equitable business intelligence. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves simply loading the data as is without any consideration for bias. This fails to meet the ethical obligation to prevent harm and could lead to discriminatory business decisions based on flawed data. Ignores the potential for the data warehouse to become a tool for perpetuating inequality. Another incorrect approach is to assume that the source data is inherently unbiased. This is a dangerous assumption, as historical data often reflects societal biases. Without critical examination, the developer risks embedding these biases into the core of the business intelligence system, making them harder to detect and correct later. A third incorrect approach is to focus solely on technical performance metrics without considering the ethical implications of the data being processed. While performance is important, it should not come at the expense of fairness and accuracy. This approach prioritizes efficiency over ethical responsibility, which can have severe reputational and legal consequences. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a data-driven ethical framework. This involves a continuous cycle of identifying potential ethical risks, assessing their impact, and implementing mitigation strategies. When developing data warehouse solutions, this means 1. Understanding the business context and intended use of the data. 2. Critically evaluating source data for potential biases. 3. Collaborating with business stakeholders to define acceptable levels of risk and fairness. 4. Implementing technical solutions that promote data integrity and mitigate bias. 5. Establishing ongoing monitoring and review processes to detect and address emerging biases. This proactive and collaborative approach ensures that data warehouse solutions are not only technically sound, but also ethically responsible. Question 4. The analysis reveals a critical data anomaly in a key fact table that will directly impact the accuracy of a high-priority executive report due by end of day. The anomaly, if unaddressed, will cause sales figures to be understated by approximately 15%. The development team has the technical capability to correct the anomaly, but the correction process will take several hours and will likely delay the report's delivery. The executive requesting the report is known for being impatient with delays. What is the most ethically sound and professionally responsible course of action for the data warehouse developer? Option A. Immediately inform the executive and relevant stakeholders about the data anomaly, its potential impact on the report, and the estimated time required to correct it, recommending a delayed but accurate report. Option B. Attempt to manually adjust the report's output to compensate for the anomaly without correcting the underlying data, hoping the executive won't notice the discrepancy. Option C. Ignore the anomaly for now, assuming it might not be significant enough to cause major issues and can be addressed in a future data refresh. Option D. Proceed with generating the report using the flawed data to meet the deadline, and then work on correcting the anomaly in the background without informing anyone. The correct answer is A. Immediately inform the executive and relevant stakeholders about the data anomaly, its potential impact on the report, and the estimated time required to correct it, recommending a delayed but accurate report. Explanation. This scenario presents an ethical dilemma common in data warehousing and business intelligence development, specifically concerning data integrity and potential misuse. The challenge lies in balancing the immediate business need for rapid reporting with the long-term implications of using potentially flawed data. A data warehouse developer must uphold professional integrity and adhere to ethical guidelines that prioritize accurate and reliable data. The correct approach involves a proactive and transparent communication strategy. By immediately informing stakeholders about the discovered data anomaly, the developer upholds the principle of data integrity. This aligns with professional ethical codes that mandate honesty and accuracy in data handling. It also allows for informed decision-making by management, who can then assess the impact of the anomaly and decide on the appropriate course of action, whether it's delaying the report, issuing a revised version, or providing caveats. This approach prevents the dissemination of misleading information, which could have significant business consequences and damage the credibility of the BI system and the development team. An incorrect approach would be to proceed with generating the report using the known flawed data without disclosure. This constitutes a breach of professional ethics by knowingly providing inaccurate information. It undermines the trust placed in the data warehouse and the BI reports, potentially leading to poor business decisions based on false premises. Such an action could also have legal ramifications if the inaccurate data leads to financial losses or regulatory noncompliance. Another incorrect approach is to attempt to fix the data anomaly without proper documentation or stakeholder consultation. While seemingly well-intentioned, this bypasses established data governance processes and can introduce further inconsistencies or biases. It also prevents stakeholders from understanding the original data's limitations and the nature of the fix, which is crucial for transparency and accountability. This can lead to a false sense of data accuracy and mask underlying systemic issues. Finally, ignoring the anomaly and hoping it goes unnoticed is a dereliction of professional duty. This passive approach is ethically unsound, as it knowingly allows a flawed product to be released. It demonstrates a lack of commitment to data quality and professional responsibility, potentially leading to severe reputational damage and loss of trust when the anomaly is eventually discovered. The professional decision-making process in such situations should involve 1. Identifying the ethical conflict. 2. Consulting relevant professional codes of conduct and organizational policies. 3. Gathering all necessary information about the anomaly. 4. Communicating the issue clearly and promptly to appropriate stakeholders. 5. Recommending potential solutions or mitigation strategies. 6. Documenting all actions and decisions. Question 5. Strategic planning requires a clear understanding of data sources and their potential limitations. As an IBM Cognos C2020 data warehouse developer, you are tasked with creating a new sales performance report. During your investigation, you discover that a critical data element, the customer acquisition cost, is derived from a legacy system with known data quality issues and incomplete historical records. The business stakeholder is insistent on having this metric in the report immediately to inform a marketing campaign. What is the most appropriate course of action? Option A. Proceed with developing the report using the available data, but add a disclaimer to the report indicating potential inaccuracies in the customer acquisition cost metric. Option B. Escalate the data quality concern to the data governance team and the project manager, providing detailed documentation of the issue and its potential impact, and await their guidance before proceeding with the report. Option C. Independently attempt to cleanse and augment the customer acquisition cost data from other available sources to ensure accuracy before including it in the report. Option D. Inform the business stakeholder that the report cannot be created until the legacy system's data quality issues are fully resolved, which may take an extended period. Correct answer is B. Escalate the data quality concern to the data governance team and the project manager, providing detailed documentation of the issue and its potential impact, and await their guidance before proceeding with the report. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between delivering a requested feature and adhering to data governance principles and potential regulatory compliance requirements. The developer is privy to sensitive information about the data's origin and potential limitations, which could impact the accuracy and reliability of the report if not handled transparently. The core of the challenge lies in balancing business demands with ethical responsibilities and adherence to established data warehousing best practices, which are implicitly governed by the principles of data integrity and responsible use. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes data integrity and transparency. By escalating the concern to the data governance team, the developer is acting responsibly, ensuring that any decision to proceed with the report is informed by a thorough understanding of the data's limitations and potential compliance implications. This aligns with the ethical obligation to provide accurate and reliable information and upholds the principles of good data stewardship, which are foundational to responsible BI development. It also allows for a documented and collaborative decision-making process, mitigating individual risk and ensuring organizational alignment. An incorrect approach that involves proceeding with the report without addressing the data quality issue fails to uphold the principle of data integrity. This could lead to the dissemination of inaccurate or misleading information, potentially causing business decisions to be based on flawed data. This failure can have downstream consequences, impacting customer trust and potentially leading to regulatory scrutiny if the data is used in a context subject to specific reporting standards. Another incorrect approach, such as outright refusing to develop the report without offering alternative solutions or explanations, demonstrates a lack of collaboration and problem solving. While it avoids the immediate risk of data misuse, it fails to meet business needs and does not contribute to finding a workable solution. This can hinder project progress and damage professional relationships. A further incorrect approach, such as attempting to fix the data quality issue independently without proper authorization or understanding of the broader data architecture, risks introducing further inconsistencies or violating data governance policies. This can lead to unintended consequences and undermine the integrity of the entire data warehouse. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a clear understanding of the data's context, potential impacts of its use, and established organizational policies for data governance and issue escalation. When faced with a potential data quality or integrity issue that could affect reporting accuracy or compliance, the professional should 1. Document the observed issue and its potential implications. 2. Consult relevant data governance policies and documentation. 3. Escalate the concern to the appropriate stakeholders, e.g., data governance team, project manager, business analyst, for informed decision-making. 4. Collaborate on finding a solution that balances business requirements with data integrity and compliance. Question 6. The control framework reveals a potential data quality anomaly in a critical fact table that, if left unaddressed, could lead to subtle but significant inaccuracies in sales performance reports. The developer has identified the anomaly during the development of a new report and has the technical capability to implement a workaround that would mask the issue for the immediate report, but not resolve the underlying problem. The project deadline is approaching, and the business is eager for the report. What is the most ethically and professionally responsible course of action? Option A. Implement a technical workaround to mask the anomaly for the current report, assuming the issue will be addressed by another team or at a later stage to meet the project deadline. Option B. Proceed with the report development without mentioning the anomaly, assuming it is a minor issue that will not significantly impact the business and will be resolved by source system updates. Option C. Document the anomaly internally but proceed with delivering the report as scheduled, leaving the resolution of the data quality issue to the business users to discover and report. Option D. Immediately inform the project manager and relevant stakeholders about the data quality anomaly, detailing its potential impact, and proposing a plan for investigation and remediation, even if it means a slight delay to the report delivery. The correct answer is D. Immediately inform the project manager and relevant stakeholders about the data quality anomaly, detailing its potential impact, and proposing a plan for investigation and remediation, even if it means a slight delay to the report delivery. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge rooted in data integrity and the ethical responsibility of a data warehouse developer. The core conflict lies between delivering a seemingly functional solution quickly and ensuring the long-term accuracy and trustworthiness of the data, which underpins critical business decisions. The developer is aware of a potential data quality issue that, while not immediately apparent, could lead to significant misinterpretations and flawed reporting downstream. This requires careful judgment to balance project timelines with the imperative of data accuracy. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes data integrity and transparency, aligning with the fundamental ethical obligations of a data professional. By flagging the potential issue and proposing a solution, the developer upholds the principle of honesty and accuracy in data handling. This proactive stance ensures that stakeholders are informed of potential risks, allowing for informed decision-making regarding data quality remediation. This approach fosters trust in the data warehouse and the developer's work, which is crucial for the long-term success of BI initiatives. An incorrect approach that involves ignoring the data quality issue and proceeding with the development would be a significant ethical failure. This would violate the principle of accuracy and could lead to the dissemination of misleading information, potentially causing financial harm or reputational damage to the organization. It also represents a failure to adhere to best practices in data governance, which emphasize the importance of clean and reliable data. Another incorrect approach, such as attempting to fix the data without proper documentation or stakeholder consultation, also carries ethical risks. While seemingly well-intentioned, this can lead to unintended consequences, obscure the root cause of the data quality problem, and create a false sense of security. It bypasses necessary validation and can erode trust if the fix is later discovered to be inadequate or introduces new issues. This approach lacks transparency and accountability. A third incorrect approach, such as blaming the source system or other teams without taking ownership of the data quality within the warehouse, is unprofessional and deflects responsibility. While source system issues may exist, the data warehouse developer has a responsibility to identify, report, and work towards resolving data quality problems that impact the warehouse's usability and accuracy. This approach fails to demonstrate a commitment to data stewardship. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. 1. Identify the potential data quality issue and its implications. 2. Assess the severity and potential impact of the issue on downstream reporting and decision-making. 3. Document the issue thoroughly, including its nature, potential causes, and observed effects. 4. Communicate the issue clearly and proactively to relevant stakeholders, e.g., project managers, business analysts, data stewards, outlining the risks and proposing potential solutions or mitigation strategies. 5. Collaborate with stakeholders to determine the best course of action, balancing remediation efforts with project timelines and business priorities. 6. Ensure all data quality remediation efforts are properly tested, validated, and documented. Question 7. During the evaluation of performance issues with several key IBM Cognos 10 BI reports, a development team is considering various optimization strategies. The team has identified that certain reports are consistently slow to generate, impacting user productivity. Given the pressure to deliver a quick fix, what is the most professionally sound and regulatory compliant approach to address these performance bottlenecks? Option A. Conduct thorough data profiling of the underlying data sources to understand data distribution, cardinality, and potential anomalies before modifying report queries or Cognos configurations. Option B. Focus on rewriting the report queries using more complex SQL constructs and advanced Cognos functions without first analyzing the data or existing query performance. Option C. Immediately implement aggressive caching strategies across all affected reports to minimize data retrieval times, assuming that most users will benefit from pre-generated results. Option D. Prioritize the adoption of the newest Cognos 10 BI features and extensions, assuming they inherently offer performance improvements for all reporting scenarios. The correct answer is A. Conduct thorough data profiling of the underlying data sources to understand data distribution, cardinality, and potential anomalies before modifying report queries or Cognos configurations. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because the development team is under pressure to deliver a new reporting feature quickly, potentially leading to shortcuts that compromise data integrity and performance. The core conflict lies between speed of delivery and adherence to established data warehousing best practices, which are implicitly governed by the need for reliable and efficient data for business decision-making. In a regulated environment, the accuracy and accessibility of data are paramount, and any deviation can have significant consequences. The correct approach, which involves profiling the existing data to understand its characteristics and potential issues before optimizing Cognos reports, represents best professional practice. This proactive step ensures that the optimizations are targeted and effective, preventing the introduction of new performance bottlenecks or data inaccuracies. It aligns with the principles of sound data governance and development lifecycle management, which are crucial for maintaining the trust and utility of the data warehouse. From a regulatory perspective, this approach supports the requirement for accurate and auditable data, minimizing the risk of non-compliance with any data-related regulations that might be in place for the specific industry. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on tweaking Cognos report settings without understanding the underlying data is professionally unacceptable. This is because it addresses symptoms rather than root causes. Such an approach risks masking deeper data quality issues or creating performance problems elsewhere in the data warehouse infrastructure. Ethically, it fails to uphold the responsibility to deliver a robust and reliable solution. From a regulatory standpoint, it could lead to the generation of inaccurate reports, potentially violating regulations that mandate truthful and precise financial or operational reporting. Another incorrect approach, which involves implementing aggressive caching strategies without proper analysis of data volatility and user access patterns, is also professionally flawed. While caching can improve performance, indiscriminate application can lead to stale data being presented to users, undermining the reliability of the reports. This can have serious ethical implications if users make decisions based on outdated information. Regulatory failures could arise if the stale data leads to non-compliance with reporting deadlines or accuracy requirements. A third incorrect approach, which prioritizes the use of the latest Cognos features without assessing their suitability for the specific data and business requirements, is also problematic. While innovation is valuable, it must be grounded in practical application. Implementing features that are not well suited to the data structure or user needs can lead to inefficient development, increased maintenance overhead, and ultimately, a less effective reporting solution. This approach lacks professional diligence and could result in a system that is difficult to manage and audit, potentially creating regulatory risks. A professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a thorough understanding of the business requirements, a deep dive into the data characteristics, and a systematic evaluation of potential solutions against established best practices. Professionals should always prioritize data integrity and performance, and any proposed optimization should be validated through testing and analysis. When faced with time constraints, it is crucial to communicate potential risks and trade-offs to stakeholders, ensuring that decisions are made with full awareness of the implications. Adherence to data governance policies and relevant industry regulations should be a non-negotiable aspect of the development process. Question 8. The risk matrix shows that slow query performance in the sales reporting subject area is a high priority issue impacting business user productivity. The development team is considering several options to address this, which approach best balances performance gains with data integrity and maintainability, adhering to best practices for data warehouse development. Option A. Create a separate set of denormalized summary tables that are manually updated on a weekly basis to reduce query complexity. Option B. Modify the existing ETL processes to perform extensive data transformations and aggregations directly within the staging area before loading into the data warehouse. Option C. Implement materialized views for frequently queried aggregated data, ensuring they are refreshed incrementally and validated against source data. Option D. Introduce caching mechanisms at the application layer without investigating the underlying database performance issues. The correct answer is C. Implement materialized views for frequently queried aggregated data, ensuring they are refreshed incrementally and validated against source data. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in data warehousing, balancing performance optimization with the integrity and maintainability of the data warehouse. The professional challenge lies in identifying the most effective and compliant method to improve query performance without introducing new risks or violating established data governance policies. Careful judgment is required to select an approach that aligns with the organization's strategic goals for data analytics and adheres to any relevant data management regulations or internal standards. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it directly addresses the root cause of performance degradation by optimizing the underlying data structures and query execution plans. This method is generally preferred as it leads to sustainable performance improvements, reduces the load on the database server, and minimizes the impact on end users. It aligns with professional ethics by prioritizing data quality and system stability, ensuring that the data warehouse remains a reliable source of information for decision-making. Furthermore, it is compliant with typical data governance frameworks that emphasize efficient data access and resource utilization. An incorrect approach that involves creating redundant aggregated tables without proper validation or lifecycle management poses several regulatory and ethical failures. It can lead to data inconsistencies if the aggregation process is not perfectly synchronized with the source data, violating principles of data accuracy and integrity. This can result in misleading reports and flawed business decisions, which is an ethical breach. From a regulatory perspective, it might also violate data governance policies that mandate a single source of truth and prohibit unnecessary data duplication, potentially increasing storage costs and complicating data lineage tracking. Another incorrect approach, such as bypassing the established change management process to implement performance tweaks, represents a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It undermines the organization's control environment, increasing the risk of unintended consequences and system instability. This violates professional responsibility to follow established procedures designed to ensure system reliability and security. It also creates an audit trail deficiency, making it difficult to trace changes and their impact, which is a direct contravention of many data management regulations and internal compliance requirements. The professional reasoning process for similar situations should involve a thorough analysis of the performance bottleneck, considering various optimization techniques. This includes evaluating the trade-offs between different approaches in terms of implementation effort, ongoing maintenance, potential risks, and alignment with organizational policies and regulatory requirements. A structured approach, often involving a proof of concept, impact assessment, and adherence to change control procedures, is crucial for making informed decisions that uphold data integrity and system performance. Question 9. Process analysis reveals that a critical IBM Cognos 10BI report used for regulatory compliance is experiencing significant performance degradation, leading to extended user wait times and potential delays in reporting deadlines. The development team is considering several optimization strategies. Which of the following approaches is the most professionally sound and compliant with data warehousing best practices? Option A. Denormalize key fact tables by merging them with dimension tables to reduce join complexity, assuming this will speed up data retrieval. Option B. Analyze query execution plans and identify inefficient SQL statements or data access patterns within the report's data source queries to implement targeted SQL tuning or data model adjustments. Option C. Immediately upgrade the server hardware and increase memory allocation to the Cognos BI environment to accommodate the increased processing load. Option D. Implement aggressive data caching at the report level, caching all query results for a prolonged period to minimize database hits. The correct answer is B. Analyze query execution plans and identify inefficient SQL statements or data access patterns within the report's data source queries to implement targeted SQL tuning or data model adjustments. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in data warehousing, optimizing processes for performance and efficiency without compromising data integrity or regulatory compliance. The professional challenge lies in balancing the need for speed and resource utilization with the absolute requirement to adhere to data governance policies and potentially specific industry regulations that govern data handling and reporting. Careful judgment is required to identify the root cause of performance issues and select solutions that are both effective and compliant. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a systematic, data-driven investigation into the performance bottlenecks. By analyzing query execution plans and identifying inefficient SQL statements or data access patterns, developers can pinpoint the exact areas needing optimization. This methodical approach ensures that changes are targeted and effective, leading to measurable improvements. Furthermore, this aligns with professional ethics and best practices in data warehousing, which emphasize understanding the underlying data structures and query logic before implementing changes. It also implicitly supports regulatory compliance by ensuring that any optimizations do not inadvertently alter data meaning or reporting accuracy, which could have regulatory implications if the data is used for compliance reporting. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on increasing hardware resources without understanding the underlying issues is professionally unacceptable. This is because it represents a brute force solution that is often costly and may not address the root cause of the performance problem. From a regulatory perspective, such an approach could be seen as a failure to exercise due diligence in managing data infrastructure, potentially leading to inefficient use of resources that could indirectly impact compliance costs or the ability to meet reporting deadlines if performance issues persist. Another incorrect approach that involves prematurely denormalizing tables without a thorough impact analysis is also professionally unacceptable. This can lead to data redundancy, increased storage requirements, and potential data integrity issues. Ethically, it violates the principle of maintaining data accuracy and consistency. From a regulatory standpoint, introducing data redundancy without proper controls could violate data governance policies and potentially lead to discrepancies in reporting, which could have severe compliance consequences, especially in regulated industries. A third incorrect approach that involves implementing aggressive caching strategies without understanding data volatility and refresh requirements is professionally unsound. While caching can improve performance, improper implementation can lead to stale data being presented to users, which is a direct violation of data integrity principles. This can have significant regulatory implications if the stale data is used for decision-making or compliance reporting, leading to inaccurate conclusions or non-compliance with reporting standards. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured problem-solving methodology. First, clearly define the observed performance issue. Second, gather relevant data, including system logs, query performance metrics, and user feedback. Third, hypothesize potential causes and prioritize them based on likelihood and impact. Fourth, test hypotheses systematically, starting with the least intrusive and most likely causes. Fifth, implement solutions based on validated hypotheses, ensuring thorough testing and validation before deployment. Finally, monitor the impact of implemented solutions and iterate as necessary. This process ensures that optimizations are effective, efficient, and compliant with all relevant regulations and ethical standards. Question 10. Regulatory review indicates that end users are experiencing significant delays when running complex reports against the IBM Cognos 10BI data warehouse. As a data warehouse developer, you are tasked with optimizing query performance. Which of the following approaches best aligns with established development processes and regulatory guidelines for process optimization in this context? Option A. Directly modify the SQL generated by Cognos Framework Manager for critical reports to include hints and optimize joins, bypassing the standard model development and testing procedures. Option B. Advise users to run their reports during off-peak hours and to simplify their query parameters, as this is the quickest way to mitigate immediate performance concerns. Option C. Implement a comprehensive performance tuning strategy that involves analyzing query execution plans, identifying bottlenecks, and making targeted adjustments to database structures, such as indexing and partitioning, following a documented change control process and thorough testing. Option D. Immediately create materialized views for all frequently accessed fact tables to pre-aggregate data and reduce query response times, without prior analysis of their impact on data refresh cycles or storage. The correct answer is C. Implement a comprehensive performance tuning strategy that involves analyzing query execution plans, identifying bottlenecks, and making targeted adjustments to database structures, such as indexing and partitioning, following a documented change control process and thorough testing. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in data warehousing, balancing performance optimization with the need for data integrity and adherence to established development processes. The professional challenge lies in identifying the most effective and compliant method for improving query performance without introducing new risks or violating established guidelines. Careful judgment is required to select an approach that is both technically sound and aligns with the regulatory framework governing data development. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a systematic, documented, and validated method for performance tuning. This aligns with the principles of good data governance and regulatory compliance, which often mandate traceability, testing, and change control. By leveraging existing tools and methodologies within the IBM Cognos 10BI framework, the chosen approach ensures that optimizations are implemented in a controlled manner, minimizing the risk of unintended consequences and maintaining the integrity of the data warehouse. This also supports auditability and future troubleshooting. An incorrect approach that bypasses standard procedures or introduces unverified solutions poses significant regulatory and ethical failures. For instance, directly modifying database indexes without proper testing or approval could lead to data corruption, performance degradation in other areas, or violation of change management policies. This lack of control and documentation makes it difficult to trace issues, prove compliance, and maintain system stability. Another incorrect approach, such as relying solely on user feedback without technical validation, risks addressing symptoms rather than root causes, potentially leading to inefficient or incorrect optimizations that do not truly resolve the underlying performance bottlenecks. This can also lead to wasted resources and continued user dissatisfaction, undermining the credibility of the BI solution. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a thorough understanding of the problem, a review of available tools and methodologies within the specified regulatory framework, and a risk assessment of each potential solution. This includes evaluating the impact on data integrity, system performance, security, and compliance. Prioritizing solutions that are documented, testable, and align with established development life cycles is crucial. When in doubt, consulting with senior developers, data architects, or compliance officers is a best practice to ensure adherence to all relevant regulations and guidelines. Question 11. The control framework reveals that the IBM Cognos 10BI data warehouse is experiencing significant performance degradation during peak reporting periods. Developers are tasked with optimizing query execution and overall system responsiveness. Which of the following approaches represents the most effective and professionally sound strategy for addressing this issue? Option A. Immediately upgrade the server hardware, including increasing RAM and CPU, to accommodate the increased load without investigating the specific causes of the performance bottleneck. Option B. Implement aggressive table denormalization across the data warehouse schema to reduce join complexity, without prior impact analysis on data integrity and ETL processes. Option C. Introduce a broad caching layer for all frequently accessed data marts, without profiling specific query performance or assessing the potential for data staleness. Option D. Conduct a thorough analysis of query execution plans, identify inefficient SQL statements, and optimize indexing strategies and data distribution based on observed query patterns. The correct answer is D. Conduct a thorough analysis of query execution plans, identify inefficient SQL statements, and optimize indexing strategies and data distribution based on observed query patterns. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in data warehousing, balancing performance optimization with the integrity and maintainability of the data warehouse. The professional challenge lies in identifying the root cause of performance degradation and implementing solutions that are effective, sustainable, and compliant with established development and operational standards. Without a systematic approach, developers might resort to quick fixes that introduce technical debt or violate best practices. The correct approach emphasizes a methodical investigation of the data warehouse environment, starting with an analysis of query patterns and resource utilization. This aligns with best professional practice by ensuring that optimization efforts are targeted and data-driven. By examining execution plans, indexing strategies, and data distribution, developers can identify specific bottlenecks. This proactive and analytical method minimizes the risk of unintended consequences, and ensures that improvements are robust. It adheres to the implicit regulatory expectation of delivering reliable and efficient systems, which is crucial for business operations that depend on accurate and timely data. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on increasing hardware resources without understanding the underlying issues is professionally unacceptable. This bypasses the opportunity to identify and rectify fundamental design or query inefficiencies. From a regulatory perspective, this could be seen as a failure to exercise due diligence in resource management and could lead to unnecessary operational costs, potentially violating guidelines related to cost-effectiveness and responsible IT investment. Another incorrect approach, such as arbitrarily denormalizing tables without a clear understanding of the impact on data redundancy and update anomalies, is also professionally unsound. This can lead to data inconsistencies, increased storage requirements, and more complex ETL processes, undermining the core principles of data warehousing. Ethically, it compromises data integrity, which is paramount for any system relying on accurate reporting and decision-making. A third incorrect approach, like implementing complex caching mechanisms without proper validation and monitoring, risks introducing data staleness or incorrect results. This can lead to flawed business decisions based on outdated or inaccurate information, which is a significant ethical and professional failing. It also bypasses the opportunity to address the root cause of the performance issue, potentially masking deeper problems. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve 1. Clearly defining the performance problem and its business impact. 2. Gathering data through monitoring and analysis of system logs, query execution plans, and resource utilization. 3. Formulating hypotheses about the root causes. 4. Prioritizing potential solutions based on their expected impact, feasibility, and risk. 5. Implementing solutions in a controlled manner with thorough testing and validation. 6. Monitoring the results and iterating as necessary. This systematic approach ensures that optimization efforts are effective, efficient, and maintain the integrity and reliability of the data warehouse. Question 12. Compliance review shows that a data warehouse developer has been making significant changes to database indexing strategies and query structures to improve report performance. However, these changes were implemented without prior analysis of query execution plans or performance profiling, and without formal testing or documentation of the impact on data integrity. Which of the following approaches represents the most professionally responsible and compliant method for addressing performance optimization in this scenario? Option A. Immediately revert all recent changes to the indexing and query structures, and then initiate a formal process of performance analysis, targeted optimization, and rigorous testing before any further modifications are made. Option B. Focus solely on rewriting the most complex SQL queries to simplify them, assuming that simpler queries will inherently lead to better performance without needing further analysis. Option C. Implement a comprehensive set of predefined optimization techniques across all critical reports and data structures to proactively address potential performance bottlenecks. Option D. Continue with the current practice of making ad hoc changes based on perceived performance issues, as the goal of improving report speed is paramount and the business has not yet reported any data inaccuracies. The correct answer is A. Immediately revert all recent changes to the indexing and query structures, and then initiate a formal process of performance analysis, targeted optimization, and rigorous testing before any further modifications are made. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in data warehousing, balancing performance optimization with the need for data integrity and adherence to established development processes. The pressure to deliver faster query results can lead developers to bypass standard procedures, potentially introducing risks. The professional challenge lies in identifying and implementing optimizations that are both effective and compliant with the project's governance and the implicit regulatory expectations of data accuracy and auditability within a business intelligence context. Careful judgment is required to distinguish between genuine process improvements and shortcuts that compromise quality or compliance. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic, documented, and tested method for process optimization. This aligns with best practices in software development and data warehousing, emphasizing a controlled and verifiable evolution of the system. By analyzing query execution plans, identifying bottlenecks through profiling, and then implementing targeted, well-documented changes, such as indexing or query rewriting. Developers ensure that optimizations are effective and their impact is understood. This methodical approach also facilitates rollback if issues arise and provides an audit trail, which is crucial for demonstrating due diligence and compliance with any implicit regulatory requirements for data reliability and system stability. This aligns with the principles of good data governance and responsible development, ensuring that performance gains do not come at the cost of data trustworthiness or system robustness. Incorrect approach is analysis. Implementing optimizations without thorough analysis of query execution plans or performance profiling is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It represents a shotgun approach that is unlikely to yield consistent or predictable results and could inadvertently degrade performance in other areas. This lack of systematic investigation violates the professional responsibility to understand the system's behavior before making changes. Applying optimizations based solely on anecdotal evidence or the perceived complexity of a query without objective measurement is also professionally unacceptable. This approach is subjective and prone to bias, leading to potentially ineffective or even detrimental changes. It bypasses the rigorous, data-driven decision-making expected in a professional development environment and could lead to non-compliance with internal quality standards or external data handling regulations if it compromises data accuracy or availability. Making changes to the data warehouse schema or ETL processes without proper testing and validation is a critical failure. This directly risks data integrity and can lead to incorrect reporting, which has significant business and potential regulatory implications. It demonstrates a disregard for the established development lifecycle and the controls necessary to maintain a reliable data source. This approach is a clear violation of professional standards for system development and maintenance. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach process optimization with a framework that prioritizes understanding, measurement, and controlled implementation. This involves 1. Assessment. Clearly define the performance issue and gather baseline metrics. 2. Analysis. Utilize diagnostic tools e.g., query execution plans, performance monitors to pinpoint the root cause of the bottleneck. 3. Hypothesis and design. Formulate specific, testable hypotheses for optimization and design targeted solutions. 4. Implementation. Apply changes in a controlled environment following established development and deployment procedures. 5. Validation. Rigorously test the implemented changes to confirm performance improvements and ensure no adverse side effects on data integrity or other system functions. 6. Documentation. Record all steps, analyses, and outcomes for auditability and knowledge transfer. This structured approach ensures that optimizations are effective, maintainable, and compliant with professional and regulatory expectations for data quality and system reliability. Question 13. Implementation of a new data loading strategy in an IBM Cognos 10BI data warehouse environment is proposed to significantly reduce ETL processing times. Which of the following approaches best balances performance gains with data integrity and maintainability? Option A. Introduce the new strategy incrementally into the production environment over several weeks, making ad hoc adjustments as performance issues arise without formal testing. Option B. Deploy the new strategy directly to the production environment after a brief review by the lead developer to immediately realize performance benefits. Option C. Implement the new strategy in a dedicated development or staging environment, conduct comprehensive testing for performance and data accuracy, and then deploy to production with a rollback plan. Option D. Focus exclusively on achieving the fastest possible ETL run times, even if it means simplifying data validation checks and reducing historical data lineage documentation. The correct answer is B. Deploy the new strategy directly to the production environment after a brief review by the lead developer to immediately realize performance benefits. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in data warehousing, balancing performance gains with the integrity and maintainability of the data warehouse. The developer must consider how changes to the data loading process impact not only the speed of data ingestion, but also the accuracy, consistency, and auditability of the data, all within the context of IBM Cognos 10BI and its underlying data warehouse principles. Professional judgment is required to select an optimization strategy that aligns with business needs and technical constraints without compromising data quality or regulatory compliance. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a phased, controlled implementation of process optimization. This involves thorough testing in a development or staging environment before deploying to production. This methodical approach ensures that performance improvements are validated, potential side effects on data integrity are identified and mitigated, and rollback plans are in place. This aligns with general principles of good data governance and IT project management, which are implicitly expected in professional environments, ensuring that business-critical data remains reliable and accessible for reporting and analysis. An incorrect approach that involves immediately deploying a new, unproven optimization technique directly to the production environment without adequate testing poses significant regulatory and ethical risks. This could lead to data corruption, inaccurate reporting, and potential breaches of data privacy regulations if sensitive information is mishandled. Such an action demonstrates a disregard for due diligence and a failure to uphold professional responsibility to deliver reliable data solutions. Another incorrect approach, focusing solely on performance metrics without considering the impact on data lineage or the ability to trace data transformations, is also professionally unacceptable. This can lead to a black box data warehouse where the origin and processing of data are unclear, making it difficult to comply with audit requirements or to troubleshoot data discrepancies. This lack of transparency can have serious ethical implications, especially in regulated industries. Finally, an approach that involves making significant changes to the ETL process without proper documentation or communication to stakeholders is a failure in professional practice. This can lead to confusion, misinterpretation of data, and an inability for other team members or business users to understand or maintain the system, potentially causing operational disruptions and undermining trust in the data. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a risk-based assessment of any proposed optimization. This includes understanding the potential benefits, the technical feasibility, the impact on data quality and integrity, the testing requirements, and the rollback strategy. Collaboration with business stakeholders and other IT teams is crucial to ensure alignment and to manage expectations. Adhering to established development and deployment methodologies, including thorough testing and validation, is paramount. Question 14. Risk assessment procedures indicate a critical business unit requires immediate access to sales performance metrics within the IBM Cognos 10BI data warehouse. The business unit manager is pushing for a quick solution, suggesting a direct mapping of source system tables to Cognos reports to accelerate delivery. As the data warehouse developer, which approach best balances the immediate need with long-term data integrity and regulatory compliance? Option A. Create direct query views in Cognos that map source system tables to the required report fields, bypassing the need for a formal data warehouse ETL process for this specific request. Option B. Design a dimensional model that accurately represents business processes, ensuring data is transformed and validated according to established data governance policies before being loaded into the data warehouse, and then build reports on this robust model. Option C. Implement a simplified ETL process that extracts data directly from source tables and loads it into a denormalized structure optimized for the requested reports, without extensive data validation or adherence to formal dimensional modeling principles. Option D. Prioritize the creation of reports directly from source system tables, documenting the source fields used, and deferring any data modeling or transformation work until after the initial reporting needs are met. The correct answer is B. Design a dimensional model that accurately represents business processes, ensuring data is transformed and validated according to established data governance policies before being loaded into the data warehouse, and then build reports on this robust model. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between delivering a solution that meets immediate business needs and ensuring long-term data integrity and compliance, especially within the context of a regulated industry where data accuracy is paramount. The developer must balance stakeholder demands for rapid deployment with the foundational principles of data warehousing and regulatory adherence. Careful judgment is required to avoid technical debt and potential compliance breaches. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a robust and compliant data model from the outset, involving business stakeholders early to define clear, measurable requirements, and then designing a dimensional model that accurately reflects business processes and adheres to data governance policies. The developer ensures that the data warehouse is not only functional, but also trustworthy and auditable. This proactive stance aligns with the principles of responsible data management and minimizes the risk of future rework or regulatory scrutiny. It demonstrates a commitment to building a sustainable and reliable data asset. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on immediate reporting needs without considering the underlying data structure and governance would lead to a brittle solution. This could result in data inconsistencies, difficulty in performing complex analysis, and a higher risk of non-compliance with data privacy regulations or industry-specific reporting standards. Such an approach fails to establish a solid foundation for future growth and analysis, creating technical debt and increasing the likelihood of costly remediation efforts. Another incorrect approach that bypasses established data governance protocols to expedite delivery is ethically and professionally unsound. It undermines the integrity of the data warehouse and the organization's commitment to data quality and security. This can lead to significant regulatory penalties, reputational damage, and a loss of trust from both internal and external stakeholders. It demonstrates a disregard for established best practices and a failure to uphold professional responsibilities. The professional reasoning process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. First, thoroughly understanding the business requirements and their implications for data modeling and governance. Second, engaging in open communication with stakeholders to manage expectations and educate them on the importance of a well-designed data warehouse. Third, adhering strictly to established data governance policies and regulatory frameworks throughout the design and development lifecycle. Finally, documenting all design decisions and their rationale to ensure transparency and facilitate future audits. Question 15. System analysis indicates that a key business unit requires immediate access to a new set of aggregated sales metrics that are not currently available in the existing data warehouse schema. The business unit manager is pressing for a rapid deployment, suggesting a direct, denormalized table creation within the data warehouse to satisfy their reporting needs within the next week. As the IBM Cognos 10BI data warehouse developer, what is the most professional and strategically sound approach to address this request? Option A. Immediately begin developing a new, independent data mart solely for this business unit's aggregated sales metrics, without consulting existing data warehouse standards or the broader architectural team. Option B. Create a separate, denormalized table directly within the data warehouse as requested by the business unit manager, prioritizing immediate delivery of the required metrics. Option C. Advise the business unit manager that their request cannot be fulfilled due to the existing architectural constraints and suggest they explore alternative reporting tools. Option D. Propose a phased approach that involves analyzing the impact of the new metrics on the existing dimensional model, designing a compliant extension to the STAR schema, and then developing the necessary ETL processes and Cognos model updates, while communicating the timeline and rationale to the business unit. The correct answer is D. Propose a phased approach that involves analyzing the impact of the new metrics on the existing dimensional model, designing a compliant extension to the STAR schema, and then developing the necessary ETL processes and Cognos model updates, while communicating the timeline and rationale to the business unit. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in data warehousing development, balancing the immediate needs of business stakeholders with the long-term integrity and performance of the data warehouse. Stakeholders, driven by business objectives, often prioritize rapid delivery of features that directly impact their current reporting or analytical requirements. However, overlooking foundational data modeling principles or established development standards in favor of expediency can lead to significant technical debt, data inconsistencies, and increased maintenance costs down the line. The professional challenge lies in effectively communicating the implications of short-term decisions on long-term data quality and system scalability, while still demonstrating responsiveness to business needs. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach emphasizes adherence to established data modeling best practices and the existing data warehouse architecture. This aligns with the principles of robust data governance and maintainable system design, which are implicitly expected in professional data warehousing development. By advocating for a structured approach that considers the impact on the overall data model, data integrity, and performance, the developer demonstrates a commitment to building a sustainable and reliable data asset. This approach upholds the professional responsibility to deliver solutions that are not only functional, but also technically sound and aligned with long-term strategic goals. It also implicitly supports the need for clear documentation and stakeholder alignment on the chosen path, ensuring transparency and shared understanding of the trade-offs. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves prioritizing the stakeholder's immediate request without considering its impact on the existing data model. This can lead to data redundancy, inconsistencies, and a fragmented data architecture, violating principles of data normalization and integrity. Ethically, it can be seen as a failure to act in the best interest of the organization's data assets. Another incorrect approach is to implement a quick, ad hoc solution that bypasses standard development processes and documentation. This creates technical debt, making future modifications and troubleshooting more difficult and costly. It also undermines the established governance framework and can lead to a lack of auditability and accountability. A third incorrect approach is to dismiss the stakeholder's request outright without offering alternative solutions or explaining the rationale. This can damage stakeholder relationships and create a perception of unresponsiveness, even if the underlying technical concerns are valid. It fails to demonstrate collaborative problem-solving and a commitment to finding mutually agreeable solutions. Professional reasoning. Professionals in data warehousing development should adopt a decision-making process that involves understanding the business requirement, assessing its technical implications against established architectural principles and best practices, and then communicating potential risks and alternative solutions to stakeholders. This involves active listening, clear articulation of technical constraints and their business impact, and collaborative problem-solving. The goal is to find a solution that meets business needs while safeguarding data quality, system performance, and long-term maintainability. When faced with conflicting priorities, professionals should escalate to management or governance bodies if necessary, providing a well-reasoned analysis of the situation. Question 16. The assessment process reveals that a key business stakeholder, responsible for sales forecasting, is requesting direct read-only access to the transactional order entry system to generate their weekly reports. They believe this will provide them with the most up-to-date information and reduce their reliance on the IT department for report generation. As a data warehouse developer, how should you address this request to ensure both stakeholder satisfaction and the integrity of the data warehouse and operational systems? Option A. Advise the stakeholder to extract data from the transactional system into a local spreadsheet and perform their analysis there, as this is a common practice for individual reporting needs. Option B. Explain the risks of direct transactional data access, including performance impacts on the operational system and potential data inconsistencies for reporting, and propose building a dedicated sales reporting subject area within the existing data warehouse that pulls and transforms the necessary data. Option C. Grant the stakeholder read-only access to the transactional order entry system, with a disclaimer that performance may be impacted and data may not be fully optimized for reporting. Option D. Immediately deny the request, stating that direct access to transactional systems is against company policy and that the stakeholder must continue to use existing, predefined reports. The correct answer is B. Explain the risks of direct transactional data access, including performance impacts on the operational system and potential data inconsistencies for reporting, and propose building a dedicated sales reporting subject area within the existing data warehouse that pulls and transforms the necessary data. Explanation. The assessment process reveals a common challenge in data warehousing projects, balancing the immediate needs of business stakeholders with the long-term integrity and performance of the data warehouse. In this scenario, the stakeholders' request for direct access to transactional data for reporting purposes, while seemingly efficient, poses significant risks. Directly querying operational systems can lead to performance degradation, impacting the business's core operations. Furthermore, transactional data is often not structured for analytical reporting, leading to inaccurate or misleading insights. The challenge lies in educating stakeholders about these risks and guiding them towards a solution that meets their analytical needs without compromising the operational environment or data quality. The correct approach involves leveraging the existing data warehouse and its curated data models. This aligns with best professional practices by ensuring that reporting is performed on data that has been cleansed, transformed, and optimized for analytical purposes. It upholds data governance principles, promotes consistency in reporting, and protects the performance of transactional systems. This approach is ethically sound as it prioritizes data integrity and responsible data usage, preventing potential misinterpretations or operational disruptions that could arise from direct transactional data access. An incorrect approach would be to grant direct access to transactional databases for reporting. This fails to adhere to data warehousing best practices and introduces significant regulatory and ethical risks. Operationally, it can lead to performance issues, impacting the business's ability to conduct daily transactions. From a data integrity perspective, it bypasses crucial ETL processes designed to ensure data accuracy and consistency, potentially leading to flawed business decisions based on unreliable reports. This could also violate data governance policies and potentially lead to compliance issues if sensitive data is mishandled or misinterpreted due to its raw and transformed state. Another incorrect approach is to immediately dismiss the stakeholder's request without understanding the underlying business need. This demonstrates poor communication and stakeholder management, potentially alienating key business partners and hindering the adoption of data warehousing solutions. While the direct access request is problematic, understanding the why behind it is crucial for identifying alternative, more appropriate solutions. The professional decision-making process should involve active listening to understand the stakeholder's objectives, followed by an assessment of the technical feasibility and risks associated with their proposed solution. The next step is to educate the stakeholder on the principles of data warehousing, the benefits of a structured analytical environment, and the potential negative consequences of their initial request. Finally, the professional should propose and collaboratively develop an alternative solution that leverages the data warehouse to meet the stakeholders' analytical requirements effectively and responsibly. Question 17. Investigation of a new reporting requirement for sales performance analysis reveals that the source system data for sales transactions is highly denormalized and contains several known inconsistencies. The business stakeholders are eager to see initial reports within 2 weeks. As the IBM Cognos 10BI data warehouse developer, which approach best balances the immediate need for reporting with the long-term integrity and usability of the data warehouse, considering the implicit need for auditable and accurate data. Option A. Prioritize the creation of reports directly against the source system tables, bypassing the data warehouse for this initial requirement, and inform stakeholders that a separate data mart will be developed later to address data quality issues. Option B. Engage with business stakeholders to thoroughly understand the specific metrics and dimensions required for the sales performance analysis. Design a dimensional model, e.g., star schema, to represent these business concepts, and build robust ETL processes that cleanse, validate, and transform the source data into the dimensional model before report generation. Option C. Design the data warehouse schema to directly mirror the denormalized structure of the source system, implementing minimal transformations in the ETL process to expedite report delivery, and plan to address data inconsistencies in subsequent iterations. Option D. Focus on building the ETL processes to extract all available data from the source system without significant transformation, assuming that the reporting tool, IBM Cognos 10BI, can handle the data inconsistencies and provide accurate results through its query capabilities. The correct answer is C. Design the data warehouse schema to directly mirror the denormalized structure of the source system, implementing minimal transformations in the ETL process to expedite report delivery, and plan to address data inconsistencies in subsequent iterations. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between delivering a solution that meets immediate business needs and ensuring long-term data integrity and compliance, particularly within the context of a data warehouse developer role. The pressure to deliver quickly can lead to shortcuts that compromise the foundational principles of data warehousing and potentially violate regulatory requirements related to data accuracy and auditability. Careful judgment is required to balance these competing demands. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a thorough understanding of the business requirements and their implications for the data model and ETL processes. This proactive engagement with stakeholders ensures that the data warehouse is designed to accurately reflect business operations and to support reliable reporting, adhering to established data modeling principles and documentation standards, as mandated by typical data governance frameworks, which are implicitly assumed to be in place for a professional IBM Cognos 10 BI data warehouse developer role, even if not explicitly detailed in the exam's limited scope, ensures that the solution is maintainable, scalable, and auditable. This aligns with the ethical obligation to provide accurate and trustworthy data for decision-making and avoids potential regulatory scrutiny related to data misrepresentation or lack of traceability. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on replicating the source system structure without understanding the business context is professionally unacceptable. This fails to leverage the benefits of a data warehouse, which is to provide an integrated, subject-oriented, time-variant, and non-volatile view of data. It also risks propagating source system anomalies into the warehouse, leading to inaccurate reporting and potential regulatory issues if the data is used for compliance purposes. Another incorrect approach that bypasses data validation and transformation logic to speed up delivery is also professionally unacceptable. It directly undermines the integrity of the data warehouse. In a regulated environment, the inability to demonstrate accurate data transformations and validations can lead to significant regulatory penalties and loss of stakeholder trust. The lack of audit trails for data manipulation is a critical failure. Finally, an approach that ignores the performance implications of the design and relies on post-development optimization is professionally unsound. While performance is a consideration, building a data warehouse without initial performance considerations can lead to an unusable system, requiring costly rework and potentially impacting business operations. This also demonstrates a lack of foresight and professional responsibility in delivering a robust solution. The professional reasoning process for similar situations should involve 1. Requirement, elicitation, and validation. Deeply understand the business needs and how they translate into data requirements. Question assumptions and seek clarification. 2. Data modeling and design. Apply established data warehousing principles, e.g., dimensional modeling, to create a robust, scalable, and understandable data model. 3. ETL process design. Develop clear, documented, and validated ETL processes that ensure data accuracy, consistency, and auditability. 4. Stakeholder communication. Maintain open and transparent communication with business stakeholders throughout the development lifecycle, managing expectations and seeking feedback. 5. Risk assessment. Proactively identify potential risks, e.g., data quality issues, performance bottlenecks, compliance gaps, and develop mitigation strategies. Question 18. What factors determine the most effective approach for a data warehouse developer to address a stakeholder request for a new report in IBM Cognos 10 BI, considering the need for both timely delivery and long-term data integrity? Option A. The immediate availability of data in the source systems and the developer's ability to quickly construct a query without validating the data's accuracy or relevance to the business need. Option B. The developer's personal preference for specific data modeling techniques and the perceived urgency of the request without detailed stakeholder consultation. Option C. The complexity of the requested report and the developer's estimation of the time required to build it, prioritizing technical challenges over business requirements. Option D. A comprehensive understanding of the business context behind the report request, the impact on the existing data model, and potential performance implications, followed by collaborative refinement with the stakeholder. The correct answer is B. The developer's personal preference for specific data modeling techniques and the perceived urgency of the request without detailed stakeholder consultation. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the immediate needs of business stakeholders with the long-term integrity and performance of the data warehouse, all within the context of IBM Cognos 10 BI development, best practices, and potential regulatory considerations for data handling. The developer must navigate conflicting priorities and ensure that technical decisions align with business objectives without compromising data quality or system scalability. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a thorough understanding of business requirements and their impact on the data model and reporting. This proactive engagement with stakeholders ensures that the data warehouse design is not only technically sound, but also directly addresses the analytical needs of the business. It aligns with the principle of delivering value through accurate and accessible data, which is a core tenet of data warehousing and business intelligence. Furthermore, by considering performance implications early, it avoids costly rework and ensures user adoption. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on delivering a report quickly without validating the underlying data model or understanding the business context is professionally unacceptable. This can lead to reports based on inaccurate or misleading data, eroding stakeholder trust, and potentially causing significant business decisions to be made on faulty information. This failure to ensure data integrity and relevance is a critical ethical lapse in data warehousing. Another incorrect approach that prioritizes technical elegance or personal preference over stakeholder needs is also professionally flawed. While technical expertise is important, the ultimate goal of a data warehouse is to serve the business. Ignoring stakeholder input or imposing a technically superior but functionally irrelevant solution demonstrates a lack of understanding of the developer's role and can lead to wasted resources and unmet business objectives. A professional reasoning process for similar situations should involve 1. Active listening and requirement gathering from all relevant stakeholders. 2. Thorough analysis of how these requirements translate into data model design and reporting structures. 3. Proactive identification and communication of potential technical challenges and their business implications. 4. Iterative development and validation with stakeholders to ensure alignment and satisfaction. 5. Consideration of performance, scalability, and data governance throughout the development lifecycle. Question 19. When evaluating a request from a key business unit for a new set of reports that require data not readily available in the current data warehouse structure, what is the most appropriate approach for a data warehouse developer to ensure both immediate business needs are met and the long-term integrity of the data warehouse is maintained? Option A. Immediately build custom views on top of existing operational systems to provide the data for the new reports, bypassing the data warehouse. Option B. Advise the business unit that the current data warehouse cannot support their needs and suggest they develop their own departmental data marts. Option C. Create separate, denormalized tables specifically for each new report, pulling data directly from source systems as needed. Option D. Design and implement new fact and dimension tables that directly support the requested reports, integrating them into the existing Kimball dimensional model. Correct answer is D. Design and implement new fact and dimension tables that directly support the requested reports, integrating them into the existing Kimball dimensional model. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in data warehousing projects, balancing the immediate needs of business stakeholders with the long-term integrity and maintainability of the data warehouse. The challenge lies in the inherent tension between rapid delivery for business value and the disciplined application of data modeling principles. Stakeholders, driven by business objectives, may prioritize quick access to data for specific reports, potentially overlooking the foundational design that ensures data consistency, scalability, and accuracy across the enterprise. This can lead to the creation of data silos, redundant data, and ultimately, a data warehouse that is difficult to manage and evolve. The correct approach, which involves engaging stakeholders to understand their reporting needs, and then translating those needs into a well-structured, Kimball dimensional model, represents best professional practice. This aligns with the principles of data warehousing design, emphasizing a business-centric approach to data modeling. By using dimensional modeling, the data warehouse is optimized for querying and analysis, providing business users with understandable and performant data structures. This approach ensures that the data warehouse serves as a single source of truth, promoting data governance and reducing the risk of inconsistent reporting. It also facilitates future expansion and adaptation to evolving business requirements, thereby maximizing the return on investment in the data warehouse. An incorrect approach of directly creating tables based on individual stakeholder requests without considering the overall data model structure leads to several regulatory and ethical failures. Firstly, It violates the principle of data integrity and consistency, which are often implicitly or explicitly required by data governance policies, and potentially by regulations concerning data accuracy and reliability, e.g., Sarbanes-Oxley if financial data is involved, requiring accurate reporting. Creating disparate tables for similar data points leads to data redundancy and the potential for conflicting information, making it impossible to establish a single, authoritative view of business operations. This can result in inaccurate business decisions, which, in regulated industries, could have legal and financial repercussions. Secondly, this approach undermines data security and access control. Without a unified data model, it becomes significantly harder to implement granular security measures, potentially exposing sensitive data to unauthorized users. This failure to protect data adequately can contravene data privacy regulations like GDPR or CCPA, depending on the jurisdiction and the type of data handled. Finally, it fosters a lack of transparency and auditability. When data is scattered and inconsistently structured, it becomes difficult to trace data lineage, understand how metrics are derived, or audit data transformations, all of which are critical for compliance and trust. The professional reasoning process for navigating such situations involves a structured approach. It begins with active listening and empathetic engagement with stakeholders to fully grasp their business context and reporting objectives. This is followed by a critical analysis of these requirements against established data warehousing best practices and the existing enterprise data architecture. The developer must then act as a trusted advisor, educating stakeholders on the implications of different design choices, particularly the long-term benefits of a standardized dimensional model versus the short-term expediency of ad hoc table creation. The decision-making framework should prioritize solutions that deliver business value while upholding data integrity, scalability, and compliance. This involves clearly articulating trade-offs, documenting design decisions, and seeking consensus on the optimal path forward, ensuring that the data warehouse serves as a robust and reliable asset for the organization. Question 20. The audit findings indicate that a critical new data element required for enhanced financial reporting was integrated into the data warehouse without formal approval from the Data Governance Committee, leading to potential inconsistencies in downstream reports. As the lead developer responsible for the data warehouse, what is the most appropriate course of action to address this finding and prevent future occurrences? Option A. Document the integration retrospectively and inform the data governance team of the change, assuming the data is accurate and the business need was met. Option B. Revert the integration of the new data element and inform the business stakeholders that the requirement cannot be met until a formal data governance process is established. Option C. Create a separate, temporary data mart to house the new data element and plan for its eventual integration into the main data warehouse once a formal process is defined. Option D. Immediately engage the data governance team to review the integration, assess the impact of the undocumented change, and collaboratively establish a remediation plan and updated data governance procedures. The correct answer is D. Immediately engage the data governance team to review the integration, assess the impact of the undocumented change, and collaboratively establish a remediation plan and updated data governance procedures. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between delivering a functional solution and adhering to data governance principles, particularly in the context of sensitive financial data. The auditor's findings highlight a potential breach of data integrity and security, which are paramount in financial reporting and regulatory compliance. The developer must navigate the pressure to meet business needs while upholding the integrity of the data warehouse, which serves as the foundation for critical business decisions and regulatory submissions. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes data integrity and compliance with established data governance policies. By involving the data governance team and seeking their guidance on the appropriate method for handling the new data element, the developer demonstrates a commitment to a structured and controlled data management process. This aligns with regulatory expectations for data accuracy, completeness, and security, as mandated by frameworks governing financial data. It ensures that any changes are properly documented, tested, and approved, minimizing the risk of errors or unauthorized access. An incorrect approach that bypasses established data governance protocols and directly integrates the new data element without proper review and approval poses significant regulatory and ethical risks. This could lead to data inaccuracies, misinterpretations, and ultimately, non-compliance with financial reporting standards. Such actions undermine the trustworthiness of the data warehouse and could result in severe penalties, reputational damage, and legal repercussions. Another incorrect approach that involves creating a separate, undocumented data source for the new information, even with the intention of later integration, is also professionally unacceptable. This creates data silos, increases the risk of data redundancy and inconsistency, and makes auditing and governance extremely difficult. It violates principles of data standardization and centralized management, which are crucial for maintaining a reliable data warehouse. The professional reasoning process for similar situations should involve a clear understanding of the organization's data governance policies and relevant regulatory requirements. When faced with a new data requirement, the developer should first assess its impact on existing data structures and governance. If uncertainty exists, the immediate step should be to consult with the data governance team or relevant stakeholders to determine the most compliant and robust integration strategy. This proactive engagement ensures that solutions are built on a foundation of integrity and adherence to best practices, rather than expediency.